Talking about a tooth, like
yeah, like a physical.
Chair or standing on?
That's up to you.
Do we do it face up?
Yeah.
Face
You have a camera range you want us to stay?
You good.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Howard Nelson. Originally from New York. I live here now in Charlotte, North Carolina. Tell you a little bit about myself. Went to school in New York City, college in Long Island. I've been in the military as well. I've also been in law enforcement. I've been a cop. I've been a detention officer. I kind of took several different paths that, I think I can share with you guys, out of law enforcement, military, also, again, in entertainment, which I know a lot of you listen to music and all the current things going on in the world. I know that's what you guys love. Everybody wants to be a rapper. If not play sports. So I can tell you several different things about several different ways, and the things that I have done, which I would speak on, is, guys, you can do anything you want. You hear it a lot, but here it is in front of you. I'm a normal person. I'm not no superstar. I'm not anything, but also a little bit in the music business, which took the drastic change, and I'm also into mental health. I'm in the mental health field as well, so could elaborate on certain things. So to see you sit up over there interested. So besides that, thing is, what I'm saying is that you can do what you want. There's no time limit. There's no nothing. I took drastic changes in my life, in different paths. So stay on that a little bit, and I'll come back and let everybody introduce themselves first, and we'll elaborate and take questions and talk about anything as far as myself, law enforcement, music industry, certain things, and I'll elaborate on what y'all know now that I do work with and stuff like that. I'm gonna hand it over to Mr. Darryl Starks.
How you young men are doing this afternoon? Good. Glad to see you. It's funny because if I didn't know where I was and I was just looking at you all, I would think I was on some high school or college campus. Y'all look good. You all came in here, you introduced yourself, you look like nice, sharp young men, and that actually warms my heart. So I'm glad to see that, and I'm glad that other than where we are, you all present yourselves as you do. So that actually makes me feel real good. So I'm not going to bore you all too much. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Darryl Starks. I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois. Native, born and raised in Chicago. Grew up in Chicago, survived Chicago, made it out of Chicago. Chicago's not all of what you hear, but some of it is, but it's a good place to live. The typical story. Grew up on the south side of Chicago. A lot of the stories that you hear in the news, things you see. Matter of fact, this gentleman and I went to high school together. We've known each other since we were 14 years old, younger than you all. We just happen to be back together now just because we both live and work here. Went to high school in Chicago, left Chicago, went to college in Washington, D.C., Howard University, left there, went in the military, stayed in the military for 7 years, did a lot of different things. Being an MP, criminal investigator, the whole 9 yards, that kind of led me to what was my professional career. I'm a retired supervisory special agent with ATF. Anybody ever heard of that agency? Know what they are? That's what a lot of people used to shake their hand and say that. Well, that's what I did for 25 and a half years before I retired about 3 years ago. All right. I'm a father of two. I've got 2 young sons that look just like you all, especially you, in every sense of the word, hair and everything. All right. They look just like you all. They could be sitting right here. doing the exact same thing. You know, you guys are probably used to a lot of people saying, you know, what you can do and what you can't do. I never say what you can't do. Matter of fact, I don't even put that word in my vocabulary. So, you know, what I just want to say to you, just an introduction before we start answering questions that you want to talk about, is that there is literally nothing you can't do. Literally, there is nothing you can't do. Right now, if all of you set your mind to the fact that, you know what, I want to be the president of the United States one day. Boom, make it happen. Who knows what the requirements are to be president of the United States? It's just 2. Anybody know what they are?
You gotta be born here.
You got to be a not born U.S. citizen. What's the second?
Age older. 35 to be like
35 years of age. That's it. Everybody get born in the United States? Anybody 35 yet? No. So you just got one hurdle to get over. You got to turn 35. And after that, you can actually set your sights and goals on that. Now, it's just that simple. Okay? But you got to make it happen. You got to set a path out. Whether it's that, a rapper, like you kind of lit up a little bit when he said that. It's possible, not for me, but it's possible for you. All right? So we don't talk about those things while we're here. That's the whole purpose of why we're here, to kind of open up a path and show you not what you can't be. We don't even want to discuss that. We're going to talk about what you can do, because the sky's the limit on that, okay? All right, so I'm going to pass it over and let this gentleman talk to you.
Thank you, Daryl. Good morning or afternoon. My name is Floyd G. Carroll II, and I am also from Chicago, Illinois. My good friend and buddy, Daryl Starks mentioned. I want to say a couple of things to as we begin here. First, a little bit about myself. I too grew up on the south side of Chicago. And I went to a school that was brand new at the time, Whitney M. Young Magnet High School. It was the first high school, magnet high school in Chicago. It was a relatively new concept at the time. And what do they mean by magnet? Something that's the definition of a magnet school is you're attracting people from all over the city, young students from all over the city. That's not new anymore, but at the time it was. So I had the pleasure of, when I grew up, we mentioned rap music. I grew up on classical music. My grandmother was a music teacher in Mobile, Alabama. So I didn't really know that. They didn't call it hip hop then, but I didn't know that R&B music really existed until I got into the 8th grade. Because all I listened to at the house was blues and classical music. So I remember one day when people started talking about their favorite radio stations, I rose my hand. I said, WBBM News Radio 78. People looked at me and I was like, so, but we moved from that. And I did not get into rap or anything, but I was in the marching band and the concert band. And I worked out with some people that are musically inclined right now, so I can say that I know them. I know Michael Bearden and Charlie Jones. Those guys have Emmys and Grammys. You know, they work with Michael Jackson, Lady Gaga, Madonna, all that. So maybe I can help you in that regard. But my focus became education. So I focus on arts and the education. I'm a freelance photographer. I focus on post-secondary education, helping young folks just like you go to college, finish up high school and go to college. And I agree, there's nothing that could stop you. You just have to stay focused and stay positive all the time. I have a set of young twins, constantly working with behavior portions of behavior, I'll call them issues that take place on a daily basis, because sometimes you hear them say, I can't do this, I can't do that. And I said, well, if you can tell me about Ron James, Steph Curry, I like to tease my son, call him Mardell. If you can tell me about Julio Jones, what his stats are, you can tell me about Tom Brady, then surely you can indulge me with a little multiplication working with decimals. So whatever you want to focus on is what you can do. So you have to focus on the whole picture and then pick out the part that you like the best. stay focused on that, just become academically successful. So I'm sure there will be some questions you might want to know about what we did in high school, what we do here. I've been here for about 15 months, moved from Chicago, and it's interesting how life takes you down this journey. You know, you've been weaving around all these different places. Gerald Starks has been here for what, 20 years? And I don't think I ever came to visit. And I was laughing because about 20 months ago, I called up Gerald and said, look, there's a possibility that we might move to Charlotte, North Carolina. I just need to know when school starts. He gave me that date, and I was like, okay, I guess we'll have to work with that. Who knew that when we grew up in high school, we grew up going to high school, we would ride the same train together. And today we're about 7 minutes away from each other. So life has that interesting journey that it provides for you. So that some of the folks that you knew when you were somewhere at this age, you will run into some of them 35, 40 years down the road. It might not seem like it's possible, but it didn't seem like it was possible when we were 14. But here we are several years later. So keep that in mind. Develop those friendships when you're developing your educational opportunities. And keep a hold of those good people that you can call your friend. And I turn over to Reverend Boyd, our pastor.
Good morning, guys. Good morning. I am Jordan Boyd, born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee.
Y'all can speak up a little louder.
Okay.
What you know about Memphis, Tennessee?
I know a lot. You know, leave the street.
I know.
Yeah, you know what's up.
Chill out, love. If you know something about Memphis, yeah, it's a good place to visit. It's a hard place to live, especially for young brothers like you. But I was fortunate enough to grow up in that environment. And I grew up in that environment with a lot of great people. There were a lot of temptations, but there were also a lot of loving people who cared about me in the community. So I always say to everybody, I had the best and the worst of every world. So on the next street over was a brothel. You know what a brothel is? It's a dressed up name for a whorehouse. And then 2 blocks down the road, there was a service station owned by a man named George Kane, black-owned business owner. Consumers Drugs, black-owned business owner. A doctor's office, and a dentist's office, black-owned. And then the liquor house on the other side. You got me? Yes, sir. And at the end of the block was the park and the elementary school where I grew up. Where a lot of my friends grew up. Out, and some of us didn't make it up. I was a good student in elementary school. I was a bad student in middle school. I was a lazy student in high school. Probably because I was a better football athlete than I was student. And I saw my vision as being something else. So I pursued the athletic route, and I was fortunate enough to go to college on an athletic scholarship. Came out, graduated, and did 2.5 years at law enforcement. And I hated it because I didn't like locking young brothers up. I saw too many of my friends in jail. And I left and went into the corporate world. And I started with a company called National Car Rental. And in 3 months, I moved to Huntsville, Alabama. In 3 months, I moved to Charlotte. And 28 years later, I'm still here. And in between that time, I got a voice calling me to do something different. And it was a voice outside of this earth, and it was a call to ministry. And so I had an opportunity to work with young men like yourself. And I realized that you guys face a lot of challenges in your life. You guys got a lot to deal with. So one of the things that I hope that we can give you, if it's only one thing today, and that is a chance for you to know that there's nothing that you face that we haven't faced. Everything you're going through has already been through. Okay? It didn't start with you. It just grew with you. And so everything that you have encountered, whether it's family related, community related, school related, law enforcement related, you can overcome it. You gotta believe that. You gotta be willing to do one thing. You gotta be willing to make good choices. See, none of us in here can control what happens to us. But every one of us can control how we respond. And how you respond can determine the rest of your life. You hear about kids with guns today, that didn't start with your generation. My best friend in high school growing up was the youngest of 8 brothers. They lived in a 3-room duplex with a grandmother and a dog. The oldest brother, back in 1975, took a gun to school and it fell out and shot himself in the foot. So carrying guns to school did not start with your generation, but it has grown to your generation. So now, fighting on the bus, fighting on the schoolyard, fighting in school, that didn't start with your generation. Using guns started with your generation. Fighting started with us, even before us. My neighborhood had a railroad track running behind. So when you want to settle your differences, it's how we meet you on the track. But you live to tell another day. So what we want to talk about is answering questions for you is, how do you get from where you are right now to the next phase of your life? And where do you want to go? And what do you want to be? Because believe it or not, you don't have to know how you're going to get there. You just have to want to get there. And if you want to get there, God will make it possible. If you have the what, He'll bring the how. None of us knew today what we would be exactly and where we would be today, standing here today. Not one of us knew that 25 years ago. So you don't know where you're going to be, but you can know what you want to be. And if you have a desire and a dream and a goal to be something in life, the how you get there will come. Okay? All right. Ms. Kimber?
I know y'all not finished.
No.
Oh,
What's next?
Question and answers.
tell me. You can't really tell what you.
Well, let me say this. Let me say this to you all, because it just, and I always say this because I know you all are young men, and you know we show up here, and I'm not sure what we look like to you all. I can only imagine. You know, we could have come in here in a normal business attire, you know, suited down, and that whole thing. And I'm not sure, because you all are ages, I don't know what, but you're younger than us. That's what I know. And probably one of the first things that you all probably thought, or nobody cared to think about is, well, man, well, how'd they get there? Because we weren't born to the ages that we are. We all have a life story or we have a journey. I can't speak for these brothers here, but a whole bunch of mistakes in mine. Whole bunch of them. I'm not going to even tell you what they are. You can just imagine. I told you I grew up on the south side of Chicago. You can fill in the rest of it for yourself. Okay? So why am I saying that to you? I'm saying that to you to let you know, as Reverend Boyd said, life is a journey. Okay? Filled with some good, hopefully way more good than bad. But if you think for any minute that any of us, any of these adults that you know, or anybody in life hasn't stumbled somewhere, some of the same stumbles you have. Real boys said we fought when we was in school. Had fights, didn't have a gun, but we sure had the, what was the phrase for it? See you at 315. See, that was the phrase. That was when you knew we gonna get down. My boys are coming and your boys are coming. But kind of the difference when we grew up was everybody went home after the fight. Might have had a bloody nose, might have had a whatever. Best he was going over was bragging rights. It has changed now. That's not your fault, but you do have to deal with it because of the consequences you got to deal with. Okay? And we still are facing those. So that's really what a lot of this is about. Life is about choices. There are things that are going to be thrown at you. I don't know any of you, and I can just imagine some of the things that have been thrown at you already at this young age in life. Okay? More is coming. But what you will develop in life is the ability to know, okay, what do I do now that this is hitting me, this is facing me? Because that's really what makes the difference. Okay? That's really what makes the difference. And I just wanted to say that before we moved on and let one of these gentlemen speak. And then we want to, I guess, spend the majority of the time answering your questions. Because don't think we don't know you don't have questions. I know you got questions. And let me give you this one ground rule. You heard it before. What's the only stupid question? There's only one. The one you don't ask, but you had it right here. Okay? So the background, there's no questions that you really cannot ask. If we have an answer, we'll try to give it. Anybody else want to add anything? Yeah.
All right, guys. Fast forward a little bit. A lot of the things, you know, some of you guys face to me. The hardest thing amongst yourselves, your community and everything, is to be different. It's easy to sag your pants. It's easy to go sell drugs. You know what's the hardest part? Right now, I see you going to school and telling your homeboy I have straight A's. You don't fit in. Okay? I'm gonna tell you from my experience. Guess what? Like they said, I cut classes, you know, did some things you guys did. Hey, smoked cigarettes, everything, whatever. When I was you guys age. But guess what? I was the cool guy that made sure I was getting A's. You might have thought that I didn't do that homework that you didn't do. That's the hardest thing. Because you guys gotta fit in, blend in, stuff like that. That's one thing. That didn't, for me, as my pastor said, I knew what I wanted. Okay, and as you guys would say today, y'all want to chase the bag, right? Guess what? Piggybacking off of you, music business, it's 10% music, 90% business. That's what the music business is. So guess what? It's not the rapper, it's the guy you don't see that got the business degree. Just to piggyback off of that. So things like that, like again, piggyback up for each of these gentlemen is you can't go what's in front of you. Most of the things you guys seen today, to be honest with you, are fads. It's not history. Like we can talk about our history. Some of the things today, you guys got Google and Siri. My father told me something, I had to run go get the book. You can hit a button and look something up. You know what I mean? So even some of the artists, he said, you know what I mean? Charles, they worked with Michael Jackson. You mean about this from? Google it. As I tell my people, they ask me something, today I may not know something. I went to school, college, but I went down a bunch of lanes right now. I may not know the math problem you know. Google it. So the same thing. So just jumping around, even some of, it doesn't matter. Rap today is that you guys don't have history. And it's a hard time now because sometimes I don't want you to get down or whatever. A lot of bad will get noticed before the good. And that's like Pastor said, talk to him. Don't worry. Somebody, he sees you. He sees you. Don't worry about it. Everything is not on stage. Like I tell you, in the music, I never wore big gold chains and had big rims and all that to prove that. I'll be the last person you can talk to. You probably talk to one of my friends in the entourage or something with the chains or whatever that didn't even work, didn't even do nothing for us. He rolled with us. He did something, but I'm not the one you would come up to. Always have been. I've been 20 years in the music industry, around it. Let's just say that. You know, going a little bit even history. You know DJ Premier? You know DJ Premier? If you don't, I want you to Google it. I'm gonna let you know. You know Cypher, right? You guys know the Cypher, right? He made that up. He's 50 something. He's been in the game for years with Dr. Dre, this, that. He made the Cypher up because he reinvented himself to the young group. Okay, stuff like that. You can Google everything. You have to look at the history. But I stay on that, even with my kids, which I have 3 kids. It's harder to do what you want. And again, like Pastor said, if it could be family, your environment, your friends, or whatever, you know, it's harder to say no than to jump in that car and you know something's illegal in it. You know what's harder? The red tape to get out of it. Then not be cool that day. So that to say, saying no today is our version of fighting, and you live to tell it another day. You know, so like I said, we've all been through past, you know, things. Even here, I've been arrested, misdemeanor, stuff like that. You can change that. I've been to college, I've been a cop, I've been in the military, and I got all out of all of that, doing what I love today. It's in mental health, working with kids, handicapped, anything you can name. And also, like I said, the music industry. I work, you know, fast forwarding, Young AME. You know, everybody know Cardi B. Both of those artists, my best friends manage. So I've done work with both of them. I can't reach Cardi B now. She's out of here. But I can call him anytime, you know, stuff like that to be current. You know, like I told you, the Cypher, stuff like that, BT Awards, stuff like that. I'm there, but I'm not the one you see on TV in the I might be in the middle with some friends or somewhere. But you guys can do what you want. I stick to that. That's the line I stick to. It's easier to follow people. It's harder to be different. And that's what everybody looks for. So if 3 of you are gonna be rappers, and he's gonna be the business guy, guess what? He might can rap. Guess what? He got in. I ain't gonna lie to you. What he does with numbers, Jay-Z's more impressed than that with that. You hear raps every day. I know I did it on tour. I have somebody handing me a CD, everything, every single day. Everybody can rap. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying being a rapper is not reachable, but it's easy to do what everybody's doing. You know, so what, again, in anything you do, what makes you different? But it starts from the ground. Because like I said, we don't know any of you guys in here, environment and everything, but you gotta go against the grain sometimes. Definitely gotta go. It's hard, trust me. It's gonna be hard. Just a little bit more with our society we're dealing with now. You know, we're being divided, you know, but you stick with him and believe in what you're doing day to day. I'm not gonna say every day is gonna be perfect. It's not. You know what I mean? But you gotta believe in him and continue doing what you're doing. I'm telling you guys, you can do it. You can do it. I've done it. I preach it to my kids. They believe in it now, because guess what? I mean, seeing is believing. You guys are seeing, a visual, era now. Very visual, everything. Tap the button, YouTube, everything. You guys are visual, it's easy for you. But seeing is believing. I might be around on the internet floating somewhere, but you guys, you know what I mean? So, I leave y'all with, like I said, it's easy to follow a fad. Follow your dream.
Could you give your name again? We had some join us late.
Okay, my name is Howard Nelson.
Thank you, Howard. And I'm Floyd G. Carroll II. And just want to add from a historical perspective for the gentleman. I'm going to cover a couple of things in the next few minutes. For the gentleman that is interested in music, here's a history assignment for you. We've got Michael Bearden, Charlie C.J. Jones, and they graduated, they're from Chicago, graduated from Whitney Young High School, went on to follow a career in music in they went down different trails, but one is on the technical side and on the background, or in the background, the other one is on the keyboard side. So just look those guys up. Look up C.T. Vivian. You have the advantage of going to the internet if you can. C.T. Initial, middle, first initial C, middle initial T, Vivian, spelled just like the lady Vivian. The C.T. stands for Cordy Tyndall. Can't spell Cordy Tyndall for you, but look up C.T. Vivian, you'll find that out. And I mentioned that. So Michael and C.J. we went to high school together. C.T. Vivian's son went to college with me. And I remember saying to my dad, he asked me what did I do that day. It was on Sunday. I told him I went to church with Al Vivian. He said, you went to church with C.T. Vivian's son? I said, who's C.T. Vivian? And he said, Howard, go to the library and look it up. You call me back when you find out. So that's what I want you to do. I'm a historian, but as an educator, and I've transformed these ideas from talking to, I've added visual aids. So as I'm taking pictures, freelancing, taking these snapshots, posting them, so people can understand it just a little bit more faster what it is that I'm working on. So music has been mentioned a lot. I'll add my caveat to this. Make sure you know you know your math real well. Music is all divided up in 2, 2, 2, 4, 4, 8, 8, 16 fractions. You can be a rapper, you can be a singer, or you can be that person that writes music. So I'll give you an example. Whitney Houston is a great singer. I don't think she wrote any music. But I want to write down Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. I want to write down Prince. Write that down.
Oh, you said?
Yeah. Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, and Prince. Put down, while you're writing that, put down Morris Day and the Time. You can tell us what that connection was the next time you see us. Who made the most money out of that group? And how did they do it? Who wrote more songs than any of the others? Or who just danced and sang and looked good and carried a mirror? But all the folks over the age of 18 know what I'm talking about. But if that's what you really want to know and want to do, then I always say, be a student of the game. Lionel Richie said about 10 years ago, when he was interested, he thought about rapping. He said a rapper told him, don't do any rap because you know how to sing. we do rap because we don't sing that well. And then if you want to talk about how you expand this base, you got to have connections. So we could be part of your connections. We could be part of your network. Heard of Chance the Rapper?
Yeah.
Okay, so Chance the Rapper has his Kit Kat commercial that was on around Halloween, a little bit before that. He has all these other, he's done a lot of stuff besides rapping. Who is Chance the Rapper, do you know? You know who his father is? His father works, what he said?
I said, I know you dropped that song with Lil Wayne.
Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne wanted to get with Chance the Rapper because Chance the Rapper has major connections. He has a major network and it starts with Barack Obama. Because Chance the Rapper's father works for Barack Obama, or worked for him at the White House in Washington, D.C. That's how he got his connections.
Intercept a little bit.
So,
Chance the Rapper, to get all his business,
yes.
owns everything. That's why they want to get with him. So the difference is, you can sell 10 million. Chance the Rapper only got to sell 1 million. You're going to pay 9.5 back. Chance owns everything he does.
And that's good. That's important to know because we talk about ownership. And I'll say for me, I've been a faithful state employee in Illinois, Chicago, Illinois, Ohio, Wisconsin, thank you, Michigan, for most of my career. And so as I got older, I said, you know, I've been faithful to the state of those places. So it's time for me. So that's why I've changed my direction. I'm giving back to my family, giving back to the neighborhood, trying to and make sure that we improve those areas. So as you make that, as you go down this journey, I talked about friendships, we talked about making sure you're in control of certain things, making sure you understand, and then making friends, making the right friends. Because it's been said a couple of times that you can, you know, do you get in the car when you know it's wrong? A lot of that has to do why we might not have gotten in the car because we knew what the consequences were in some cases. And I can tell you, I was more afraid of my mother and my father than I was of anybody else that I was hanging out with. That's really what drove me to do the right thing most of the time. And when I ventured off the road, Lord help me, my mother was there to remind me to get back on the road. And I remember this vividly. I was a junior or senior in high school. It was because of that man over there, Daryl Starks. We went to a movie after band rehearsal. That's Wednesday before Thanksgiving. And we stayed out late. When I got home, my mother didn't talk to me. So my father, he pulled me to the side and gave me the 411. Said, look, your mother's extremely upset with you. Come walking in the house at 10 o'clock. NP laugh. So it's Thanksgiving Eve. You need to do all the right stuff to make sure you don't get in any more trouble. So and it worked out. But you know what? I never came home late again while I was in high school. And it went pretty well. And then several years later, I kind of took a couple of steps back. But I'm saying this because you have to remember what's more important in the life of yours. And there was this unwritten rule in the family house. I was in college. So there was a fraternity that had these parties at a local college. And we didn't have cell phones, but we had pay phones. And it didn't matter what time it was, you had to find the phone somewhere to check in. Because somebody at the other end at the house was gonna pick up the phone and said, okay, you're over here, that's fine. So the rule was you had to be home before Dad woke up to go to work. And he got up about 5 o'clock. You had to be home in bed, and he wanted everybody in the house before he got up to go to work. At one time, I slipped up and I came home. I remember coming down the street, making the U-turn, and I could see the bathroom light on. And I was like, man, I missed the deadline. So I just went on into the house, back door. Fellas, he did the same thing to he's shaving in the bathroom. And my mother liked to go shopping at 6:30, 7 o'clock on a Saturday morning. But being in college, she didn't make me go with her. But that particular morning, she knocked on my door, said, I need you to get up and go to the grocery store with me. I had just gotten home about 5:15. He said, your father said he wants you to go to the grocery store. I'm like, man, I messed up again. So we have these reminders, but we have to keep that. I mentioned my parents because they played a pivotal role in my life. You might not have that opportunity, you might, I don't know. But remember, there's somebody who's watching you. There's somebody who's trying to play a pivotal role in your life to make sure you do the right thing. And so it all goes back to that. We talk about disappointment. Talk about making sure that those people, we live up to the standards of the people that set them for us. And it's really important that you understand that. So regardless of where you're from, you gotta keep those standards in mind and follow those standards all the time because it's essentially important. I have a son and a daughter. I understand what it's like to be a young man in the 21st century in 2017. And I say that because, I go to school in a lot of time. I'm there 3-4 times a week. My kids are in elementary school. And I remember at the end of the year, I was talking to the principal about my son. And I said, I just have one question. Why is it that all the conversations we've had about our children revolve around my son? I said, nobody in this room has ever called me to say anything about my daughter, good, bad, or indifferent. I said, I can't believe that she's that perfect angel all the time because she lives with me and she's not. But how is it that she's just doing so well with you all that you don't have to call me? But my son is just acting up all the time, not doing well, looking out the window, and he should be looking at his desk, writing down, taking notes, all those things that young men should be doing. But we like to look outside the window, we like to look at the girls, we like to see who's dressed wearing what, all that stuff. Got a nice looking teacher, we like to look at her. I can say that because my son has a nice looking teacher. And when he comes home every day, I ask him what happened. He can tell me what she's wearing, how her hair looks. I said, so what happened in class? I don't know, he says to me. So that's what black boys are dealing with in today's society. You gotta stay focused on the outcome. I do believe that every child should have the opportunity to go to college because that's my position. Every young man should have the opportunity to go to college. You all should have that opportunity. So regardless of where we are today, you should have the opportunity to go to college. And gentlemen like us will help you get there. Gentlemen in this room will help you get there. But we do understand what the struggle is. It is real and it's intense. And it's like that every day. So just keep those things in mind. Look up those names I told you. If you want some more, I can give you that information. I'm not going to tell you who they are, but I want you to tell us next time we see you what information you got. All right? So, who wants to go next?
Any questions?
No, we know you got questions.
Now I got a question. Like, you was growing up and you like, what do you think about what kept you going? Like, is you feel like you couldn't do that, or you feel like what you were doing, like you feel like, why am I doing this? I know I won't succeed. And what's the purpose of trying? What do you think about to get yourself back on track? To like get yourself back in that straight line?
Well, for me, I could say, I'll go back to what I was saying before. Being cool and making, I could be cool and still do the right thing. That's the thing. You can challenge yourself on that. So when I did go off the beaten path, I was too scared. I went to holding cell. That's it. Just people. You guys are like your parents telling you to clean your room. You know what I mean? I went in like the police telling me everything to do. So different things off the beaten path. that was mine. Like I said, riding with the wrong person, the wrong time, right? Not knowing and stuff like that. So everybody has different limits. Mine wasn't very high when it came to the wrong thing or what would happen. You know what I mean? We all got different, tolerance levels with everything, but you really, like I said, work on that. And then another thing is, is within yourself, man. Like I said, with him, and you have to work on being positive all the time within yourself. There's gonna be negative people. There's gonna be racism. There's gonna be it takes a while. You guys are young. I mean, you're in the exploratory stage. You know what I mean? Another thing I always say, try it. You know what I mean? You want to move to Chicago. You want to move to Wisconsin. You know what's here. You know what I mean? Break your comfort zone. That's the thing. You get out of here. It'd be harder not to hang with the same people. You know what I mean? Look at different circumstances, not just what got you here, but guess what? I always used to say, I don't want to get on that. Like I said, I've been a cop, detention officer, I worked in the prisons, on the street, everything. Your circumstance, I used to tell people, if I see you more than once, you're not good at it. So you ain't a good criminal. So give that up. Like that was what I used to tell people. Try something else. You ain't good at this. You're always coming in and out of here. Is it worth it? No, because you mad. I got to tell you to get up. Go eat. Clean this. So that's another thing. There's certain things. And I really learned a lot more. I wish I had, in a different way, scared straight. Like I said, you guys got a lot of things, stuff like that in my time. After I joined law enforcement, I realized, man, I'm glad I stayed straight. I couldn't do this. I wouldn't like jail. I don't like the control, nothing. But you're going to get some of that, and that's where, instead of jail, I think the military helped me a lot. Did a lot of things I had to do. And people talking to me certain ways or different ways and everything. It was here or the military. When I got out of the military, I'm going to be honest with you, every job was easy to me. I'm going to be honest with you. When I got out of there, I did 5 years. Every job was easier to me. I'm going to be honest with you. It's not the boss that's real nice to you, that give you days off. I remember 1 or 2 of those. But there's 2 people in my life that gave me the hardest time. 1 good, 1 bad. One of them in the military, he was miserable. So he made everybody else around him miserable. And just like you play the game in the streets, you play the game within your environment. So guess what? I knew what to do. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew when I got out, he thought, I gave you an example, he thought I was going to do 20 years and him make my life miserable. I already knew I was getting out. I already knew where I was going. I already knew I was going to apply and I was going to be a cop and work in the prisons and everything. And I already had 5 job offers. I never let him know. That's part of knowing what you want. I never let him know. He was one. I'm talking about him today. That's how miserable he was to make other people miserable. Because, hey, I had 5 troops I was in charge of too. To be honest with you. Your age or after coming out of high school, and I was teaching them how to adapt to their surroundings more than their job they came in the military to do. They wanted to quit, walk off, and the military. You get court-martialed, they come looking for you, you'll go to jail for things like that. So I had 4 or 5 other troops under me. I was teaching them mainly about life and how to adapt to people. And you're not running to all sorts of people, these types of people in the regular world. You got to adapt. You have to know, I hate to say it, if y'all love the term chase the bag, if I'm paid right or whatever, I will clean toilets. I have no problem with it. I'm the person that will still work in my job or in the music industry. I really had no barriers. I didn't care what nobody thinks, because when it was time or the right time to shine, to be honest with you, he put the light on me. He tells me, the spotlight on you now. It's not when you want it, it's when he gives it to you. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not gonna sit here. My pastor's here, he knows me. I'm not gonna be a Bible thumper, but y'all need him. It took a while, but he got me into his church. Whether I'm there or not, I talk to him. Or if I'm on the road, I talk to him. If not, the members, it's, you guys gotta adapt. I'm not in everybody's church. I jumped around to churches too, and this and that. Again, what didn't work for me in my younger years or whatever, not saying younger years, but guess what? To where I'm committed, to a house of God. I'll tell you that now. My mother, everybody. I've been around certain churches. This wasn't for me. Everybody to each his own. But I definitely need him, and you're gonna face more obstacles as soon as you walk out the door. Family-wise, you gotta know what you want. I don't care how much negative. I don't understand. I don't care if a bill ain't getting paid on that. You figure it out. He'll figure it out. Everything ain't peaches and cream. But it led me to where I'm at today, comfortable. I always say that to my kids. I never asked for $1 million. I never asked for it. I asked for a comfortable life and to be around long with my kids. I never did. To be honest with you, all the rest will come. The bag, you're chasing this, that, whatever. Guess what? You're chasing too much for the wrong reasons. You're never gonna get the money back. To be honest with you, you may get it temporarily and for the wrong reasons, and doing the wrong things. So, but yeah, just going into your question, you gotta stay strong on what you want. You know what I mean? I've never been in the in crowd. Never. The in crowd came to me. That's the thing. So you don't need a crew, a gang. When I say that, the right type of gang. You got Bloods, Crips, this, that. Make a math gang. Make a study gang. You know what I mean? People use that term in the wrong way now in God's society. Gang is just a group of people. It could be for something. Y'all could be a bunch of positive dudes or whatever. And like I said, you can play cool. I did all along. As a cop as well, going back to that. As a cop, it didn't change me. Remember, it's the person. It's a person. And just like Pastor said, changing that, being in that, being in the pole, I didn't have no problem being police at all. Out here, a little bit in New York, I got treated the same. To be honest with you, I got treated the same. To be honest with you, I think 5-6 years down here, no one even knew I was a cop. No one even knew. Or they'd ask, "Oh, I didn't know you were police." Hey, because like I said, I've been in it. To give you a little history, I've owned nightclubs, everything. No one knew. I stayed under the radar, basically. I didn't talk much as I now kind of got better with my public speaking in front of me. They don't bother me now at all. I don't even have to write speeches. But, it's the person. So, you know what I mean? And like I said, we're always gonna, it could be white this day, black this day, Spanish this day. You know what I mean? You gotta treat everybody individually. Of course, you could, learn about your history. Why some people are doing it. So a historian, kind of too. I like history. Learn about your history and why things are happening. Why that race may be doing that, where it came from, or why, like Pastor said, why we're doing certain things we came from. But remember, it's the individual. Because I can tell you now, I had no problem being 5-0 at all. I was still the same person. They didn't treat me different in uniform, out of uniform. Everybody that's my dudes, all the teenagers out there, they're out here. Some of them are out here, whatever. Some of them are up until last month. Whatever I did, I just had a different way. And some things, can't be taught. It takes experience. You know, even to last month, you know, even sitting down, you know, having a cigar. I have some of my guys come up to me all the time. Thank you. Thank you for, you know, making my time easier. So I'm not just talking to y'all, because some of them, a lot of them are still in contact with me that was in Mecklenburg County with me. They're still in contact, and some are doing good. Some, unfortunately, have passed. You know, again, jumping right back into the environment as soon as they got out or whatever. But some, and you know, you can't save everybody, but some I see up until this day and always thank me. You know, just like I said, the way I was in the street, the way I was in the jail, I didn't change who I was. It didn't change. It didn't change me at all. So you can do what you want, because our society is, oh, the po-po, or this, that. I have a problem. I was in every hood. It didn't matter. They knew that. That's probably part of the backlash. I was too cool with everybody. I was respected. Don't get it, you know, twisted. I was respected. No one did anything, but I was good with everybody on the street. It was easy. It was easy for me to do drug busts and stuff. To be honest with you, because guess what? What's the famous word today? You gonna snitch on me? You know, that's it. It was easy. So people, you know, especially you guys talk about, you know, po-po and this, that. You know why I became a cop? My best friend is a cop. He retired in guards, a billionaire right now. And I just realized it was easy, to be honest with you. It was easy for me to carry a gun. That's what y'all want to carry. And guess what? My job, y'all tell on each other. So what's wrong with being po-po? It's real. It was easy. I was getting a check to carry a gun. Huh?
Police on it right now.
Yeah. It was, you know, and like I said, you know, there was things politically in the field and all of us. Guess what? It was all right. I didn't like it. I made a change. Because like I said, the boys that was with me when I was in detention before I hit the streets, I see some today. They always thank me, or I help them. They're in my phone right now. Anything I want, they'll do it for me. So don't, like I said, it's hard to break myths. And I always hear that 5-0 to po-po. It's not that, it's the person. So I'm not saying this is all cops are good or not at all. Not at all. But it got me, like I said, out of that. Being a cop, a sheriff, got me to where I am today, which is working with mental health, owning homes. Because I was transporting them. So like I'm telling you again, he shed the light on me when I didn't like certain things going on. It's past when I was police. And transporting mental health, I'm be honest with y'all, I get along with the crazy. I'm good. Me and them are good. I have a lot more problem with normal people. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's what women I've been actually doing both. So you guys got to work on it. I was doing both for about 18 years now. 18 years. I was doing both jobs. So I was Mecklenburg County, NYPD, and UNCC police, and I was in the mental health field. So what I did, when I don't like something, I'm already working on the second or the third. I was already going to leave the police department. I went in classes. I stood in a group home, you know, for $7 an hour. $7 an hour, years later, got me to the bag y'all chasing. Guess what? I wasn't chasing that. I was chasing actually helping people. And someone saw me. 2 ladies today, which are my mentors, is what got me in the game today. 2 ladies that just retired as millionaires. Guess what? Probably the same reason I got to them. You're not going to see them on TV. You're not going to say they're the same way. Pass you every day in their regular car, millionaires. But they may travel the world half of the year. You know, my 2 mentors. Besides a couple other people's pastor and some people in the church that, you know, saw something in me and got me where I'm at today. So that's why I said, just know what you want. Just know what you want, no matter where you are. Because like I said, I got a son young age. I got a daughter 19, 23, 12. My son and daughter, as y'all said, they rock with me. They let me know everything. Just like the museum, they tell me 90%. They can keep their 10%. I'm okay with that. We all got secrets. But they rock. They help me. You know, teach them along the way. They just started. I'm not saying they was with me all the way and they didn't do some things. But they also know they got help, you know. My daughter too, she knows, you know, she doesn't just call me, you know, she'll call people in the church, you know. I don't know it all. And I saw a lot of grown-ups don't do. I'll tell you that now. They don't know when to back off. You may not get along with me, but I'm your brother in the same house or anything. You may talk better with him. So I've done that for my kids. Sometimes we gotta back off as adults. You know what I mean? You might not get along with me. Hey, I need you to go ahead and talk to him. There's always something you'll get, a common bond, whether it's music, whether it's careers, there's a common bond. Just like you and him being from Memphis. That was the common bond. You know what I mean? You may talk to him more than you talk to me. I'm your brother living with you. You know what I mean? So, needless to say, like I said, if you had questions, career paths, this, that, I'm living it. And I got sons and daughters, like I said, talk to me, everything. Actually help me with a lot of stuff now. Or, you know, seeing is believing, like you said. So they actually see it. Okay. Other questions?
Yeah, you have a question out here. How long were you in the Army and what was it like?
I was in the Army 5 years. I can say I joined, I volunteered. It was challenging. It's something I wanted to do. And some people, what got me there really was wanting to get away from my father. You know, I was challenging him. You know, he wanted me to go to the Air Force. I went to the Army just to get on his nerve. You know, so I picked different things, like I said, and also it wasn't that hard once you mentally put yourself to go anywhere or to do what you gotta do. So it wasn't that hard. Today, like I said, back then was chasing the bag. I knew I was getting a check to go to the Army, get a job, have my father off my back, you know, and guess what? The other thing, I already had college loans. When they said they paid that off, I was in. I was gonna do that bid instead of jail. You know, so that's what, but it is not. The Army is like any other job. You could have three good bosses and one that's gonna zone in on you. But guess what? I knew whatever it was, to me, back then, was the bag. I'm not doing nothing to mess my check up. So I don't care if you was with me or what, I wasn't joining you. And guess what? They got different types of punishment in the Army. You know, it wasn't just taking your check. They take your weekends, everything. You be locked down, 2 people be watching you, you be cutting the whole base grass with a push lawnmower that propels, not with an engine. Okay, they had different types of punishment. So I'm not gonna lie to you. Yeah, I mean, it was no joke. They made up some different type of punishment. So it was good. Again, saying what he said, I knew, I joined. I wanted to go. I knew what I was getting myself into. And guess what? I don't think nothing was gonna be so bad with me getting paid. And I kind of seen a lot of movies, I'm gonna be honest with you. So when he was yelling at me to do push-ups, I was laughing. I thought it was one of the Golden Pile, one of the Golden Pile movies, a guy yelling at you. I thought it was funny, you know. So basically, it wasn't that hard. I got more in trouble for laughing than anything else, you know. Any other guys have questions?
I have a question for young brothers. If there was one thing you had to identify, going back to your question. Going back to your question a little bit. If you had to hang your hat on one thing to be successful in life, even from coming where you are right now, what would what you said. What is the one thing you need and every one of you have to be successful? A motivator. Motivator, okay. Right. Education. Education.
Education.
Education. Education. Okay.
How about you?
Education. No. There are a lot of educated failures in the world. Education is a tool to help you get to a place of success. But four of those on the 50 top billionaires in the world didn't graduate high school. 4 billionaires in the world did not graduate high school. So education is the tool as in the toolbox of many tools in life that you will need to be successful. So watch this. From where you are right now, if you ask yourself the question, what do I absolutely need to do to guarantee that I will be successful? That one thing, and statistics and science, social scientists and psychologists, and even we theologians have already identified. You know what it is? Your belief that you can and will be. So watch this. From the time you were born, you've been going through stages. It's called stages of development, right? Early childhood, adolescent, juvenile, young adult, adult. And all of these stages bring challenges. And so in every one of those stages, you're changing. Your mind is changing. The way you think, your body is changing. Your hormones are changing. You are growing. Your interaction with people is changing. You don't wear diapers anymore. You're not potty trained anymore. You graduated from that stage. Nobody has to go to the restroom or cook for you. You know how to do that for yourself. You're learning independence. In each one of these stages, you learn a little more about yourself and about life. Now, the people and the things that you encounter make you begin to think about yourself and about others. In this stage of life where you are right now, you are beginning to develop a concept, an idea, an image of who you are, your abilities, what you can and cannot do. The way people were enslaved was not to keep them shackled, but to keep their mind in a place of believing that they were less than, that they could not do, they could not be, they could not achieve. Anybody remember Color Purple? Anybody watch the movie Color Purple? Do you remember the scene when he says to her, when she gets ready to leave, you ain't gonna never be nothing. You black, you ugly, nobody wants you. What is that? That's an attempt to do what? To destroy her self-confidence, her belief in her own abilities. Now, she was coming from no place. She had nothing. She was a housemaid. She had no education, but she had a skill. And she had somebody who was telling her what she could not be. Your question was that when things start to fall apart, how do you get back on track? Everybody said something that was external, but it's not external. It can be, it's helpful to have a mentor, to someone to encourage you. It's helpful to have education, but what if you can't get a job? What if you don't know anything to do with it? But if you believe beyond a shadow of a doubt that you are going to be successful, no matter what situation you are put in, you're going to always come out as a winner. You got me? So whether you have two parents, one parent, or you live in a foster home, your belief that you're going to be successful and be somebody is the ingredient that you need that's going to change your life. That no one can take away from you. Not jail, not juvenile detention, not having parents, will it make it harder? Yes. But your ability to believe, and your ability to believe that the one who created you for a purpose. You were not born just to suck up all the air, eat all the food, drink all the water, and use up all the toilet paper. You were born to make a difference in this life. Everybody, no one has what you have. Your handprint, your fingerprint, your eye print, your voice print, your hair, your follicles, everything, your eye print is uniquely yours. Your DNA is yours. Nobody else in the world like you. You do not have a twin. Even an identical twin is not identical. There is no one else like you. No one can take from you your ability to believe that you can win, that you can come out of every situation, you can overcome every situation, you can be victorious in and through every situation, no matter what has happened to you. And the God who has created you with a purpose and a promise that if you could believe that, all things are possible to those who believe. Remember now, many of the negative behaviors that even adults do, because as many juveniles as there are, there's even more adults locked up downtown. You know why? Because at some point in the middle of a moment, they believed that it wasn't worth it. And you can never get to that place. Although it feels like it, we all have been there. But I never had somebody to tell me when I was 14 years old that you could believe in yourself. Because I came from a repressive environment with a father who ruled with an iron fist, who punished you harshly for even the smallest mistake. So it crushed my self-confidence, my belief in my abilities. But God put me in a place and around people who saw good in me, who told me that I could. And I started to believe them. I started to believe that I could do more and be more than I want. No one can take that from you. You can sit in your bed at night and dream that you are more than they say you are, that you are better than you are doing, and decide one day that you're going to do that, and no one can stop you. See, this is not the prison. These walls are not prison. This is not incarceration. You know what incarceration is? In here. When you free yourself in here, the doors will open. You with me? This ain't stopping you. In fact, I see learning on the wall. I see education on the wall. I see history on the wall in here. This is not stopping. This is not these doors. These locks ain't keeping you. It's this. So you got to go back and look at your life and say, you know what? I'm blessed. I wake up in the morning, I got breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then if you want to just go with me for a day, I'll take you to some young kids sleeping in their car tonight in the park. Or in a roach-infested motel, but they going to school in the morning and they making straight A's. And none of their other friends know they live in a car. Now, what's the difference? What's the difference? They believe they can make it. In spite of, so they don't get up and take a shower in the morning. You get up and take a shower in the morning. You go eat breakfast in the morning. They got a hope school gonna serve breakfast. They ain't get breakfast. They might take a wash up at the gas station. They going to school and making straight A's. I know 3 of them just like that. They got a funny smell on them because they don't get to wash their clothes like everybody else. But they made up in their mind and they believe, and they got somebody telling them, and they believe that they're going to be successful, they can learn, and they can do it as well as anybody else. Now go get it. See, the power has to come from within, not from without. It can't be nobody else telling you what you can and cannot do. It can't be whether or not you get an education or not. It has to be your ability to know and believe that regardless of what happens to me, whether my mama died, daddy died, grandmother died, uncle died, everybody in my family died, I'm still gonna make it. Why does a teacher and a student in the lowest performing class, school, in the country be successful? Guess what it is? Because they believe. Not because they have better books, because this teacher believes in this student, and this student believes what this teacher says, and now all of a sudden, the used books become the best books. The used desks become the best desks. The worst school become the best school for this student and this teacher. Because against what everybody else say, they believe. So if you can dare to believe this about yourself, because at the end of the day, of all of the things, good or bad, that happen to us, the ability for us to make a decision is to believe that we could, and then go do it. Follow me? Sorry. You are no better and no less than anyone else in the world. It's what you do and what you've been given. That's why abnormal, ordinary folk do extraordinary things. I saw a story the other day where a man climbed the highest mountain, the highest peaks in the world, kayaked on the longest and most dangerous river in the Grand Canyon in the world, blind. Somebody asked him, why did you do that? Guess what he said? Because somebody told me that I couldn't. You know what he said? He said, the man said, how do you feel being blind? Isn't that a bad thing? He said, I would be blind 100 times if I could have my mother back, who was killed in an accident. So it's not what happens to us. It's what you do with it, what you decide to do with it. What are you deciding you're going to do right now? Who you mad at? Why are you going to be mad? What you going to do? You got the rest of your life to live. We were all, you may not believe it or not, but we were all 14 one day. Look at us. Look at our hair. Look at Brother Floyd right here. You won't believe he had an afro one day. You don't believe Daryl had a big fro. I saw one of his old school pictures one day.
Yes.
We came up in that afro era. I used to try to get an afro. My dad had been, oh man, don't take me back. Yeah, we used to be 14. And one of the things we learned, y'all don't get to learn, is on the playground when you're challenging and playing each other, you're challenging in competition where you have to prove in some kind of way you're better. And part of learning that is getting knocked down, losing, and getting back up. So it's not losing, it's not getting knocked down, it's getting back up and believing that you can and you will make it. So I challenge you not to assess your life by how much you have or do not have. That's not who you are. Where you come from is not who you are. I grew up in a neighborhood that had a landfill in it. Some of my friends in elementary school grew up on the dump. We call it the dump. They didn't call it the landfill. They got their clothes off the landfill. Their bikes came off the landfill. Their food came from the landfill. I grew up in an environment with a landfill in my neighborhood. When the wind blew a certain way, all of that from the landfill blew across my neighborhood. But it's not where you grow up, it's what's growing up in you. Until I went to college and met folk who grew up from a good neighborhood, but they had hate growing up in them, bigotry and prejudice growing up in them, even though they grew up in a neighborhood with sidewalks and double-story houses and nice neighborhoods. You follow me? So stop measuring your life by what you have or what you do not have. What you have is something no one can give you or take away. And that's your ability to believe. I'm coming up out of here. And I ain't coming back. Because I decided I'm going to do something with my life. And God will make a way for you. If you can believe, all things are possible to those who believe. You have to make it. You must make it. Our future in this world depends on you. You can't understand that now at 14. We couldn't understand it at 14. You don't have to understand. All I need you to do is believe what we're telling you today. Just believe what we are telling you today, that you're going to make it. That this is a stepping stone, and you're going to learn from this. Can you do that? If you can do that, and you will exercise the gift of this brain that God has given you to be the best you can be, to learn as much as you can. Steve Harvey, everybody know Steve Harvey? Steve Harvey, right? You know Steve Harvey? Powerful story. You heard the story, right? His teacher in the classroom, because he was the jokester, right? Had everybody write down what you want to be in life. He says, I want to be on TV. She laughed at him and said, you will never be on TV. He came home and told his mom and daddy. His mama said, change it to something else. He said, no, I want to be on TV. His daddy said, what's the problem? My boy said he want to be on TV. What's the big deal? He wants to be on TV, but it was black, ghetto school. Even the teacher did not believe in him. Okay? He couldn't see it today. All he knew was back then he was going to be on TV. Long story short, gets him on TV on more channels than anybody. Steve Harvey. But it had to come through homelessness and sleeping in cars and losing everything you got and believing in your dream. If you can believe and you're willing to pay the price, all things are possible. Don't forget it. Because just like you see us standing here today, and you're like, man, yeah, I got it made. You have no idea. Daryl gave you a disclaimer that we all are able to stand under. I can't tell you what really happened. Okay? So just take that to know it's not going to be a perfect life. We all have made mistakes. You're going to make some mistakes. You got to learn from them. You don't make the same mistake twice. And you live to make others' lives better. That's how goodness comes to you. Put your hand out like this. Now, I want you to take your left hand and open it up, and I want you to pour it into your right hand. What's in it? What's in the closed hand? What's in it? What did you just pour into your hand? Nothing. Why not? Because it's closed. Now we have. So now you can give and what? And receive. A life like this is better than a life like this. Okay? A life like this is better than a life like this. Because a life like this gives and receives. But a life like this that's closed and selfish and mean and hateful and arrogant and insecure and unbelieving cannot receive and not give anything. It's like the person that Brother Howard Nelson talked about, the mean person. He was mean, so he want to make everybody else like me. He was miserable, so he want to make everybody else like him. Your friends got what you don't have. You mad, so now you want to destroy everything. Oh, God has for you. It's for you. But you got to put your life in a position to receive it.
Did that answer your question? Good. And the reason why I think it's important, because that was a beautiful question you asked. The question was brilliant, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because you asked, how do you motivate yourself? And how do you stay motivated? Because that second part is as important as the first part. Oh, sorry, my bad. Because we still have to do it.
Yeah.
I'm 56.
Yeah.
And I have to sometimes motivate myself. Yeah. Now, where do I go for my motivation? His church. But it doesn't have to be his church. It could be somebody else's church. It just happens to be his church. Okay? We all basically the same age. So to answer your question, in my mind, because here's what I see as I sit here looking at you. See, to me, and I can't see you all who aren't here, but I bet I feel the same way. See, I'm sitting here and I'm standing here and I'm looking at you all, and every time I'm around young people, it doesn't matter whether we in here, because as the Reverend Boyd said, these walls don't mean anything. These are just walls. It'd be a house. Okay? But here's what I'm looking at. Who in here is the next whatever? Because somewhere 20 years down the road, or something's going to happen, and I'm going to call Floyd, I'm going to call Reverend Boyd, I'm going to call Howard, I'm going to be like, man, you remember that cat who said he wanted to be a rapper? Well, he didn't become a rapper. But he became the president of the CEO of a company, and he writes billion-dollar checks to a bunch of other rappers. He can't rap worth nothing. But he now owns his own record label and signs their checks. So don't flip if you can't ever rap. Why do I say that? Going back to your question. It's because it's that desire, that dream, that hope, that faith that makes you take the first step to take the second step. You may wind up never being that, because taking the step to that may open the door to something else. Okay? Oprah Winfrey said all she thought she ever wanted to be was the next Black Barbara Walters. I'm so glad that dream didn't stop there. That was her dream, but it was the fact that that was her dream that now has her being the first Black female that has her own network, and she's still going. But if she had stopped at Barbara Walters, most of us might not even know who she is. Okay? So it is one, the hope and the desire, all of you right now, you know this your stay here at this hotel is just temporary, right? You know, your stay here at the Hilton is temporary.
Yeah.
Yeah, sir. It end, I don't know what day it's ending, but you all know that just like we all will be leaving out here soon, so will you. And I hope all of you have a motivation for what it is that the minute you set foot outside that door, this is what I'm gonna do. That's the dream. But then you gotta have that thing that keeps that hope and that dream going. Okay, because you're gonna hit days where you don't even feel like you're not a people. Because the prison that Reverend Boyd talked about, that is the mind. Sometimes some people keep trying to still catch me in it. And I gotta go somewhere to remind myself that, yeah, I can do this. No, I choose church. But there are other people that come along with it too. Family, all of those. But you gotta have, and that's all those things you hear us talk about. Mentors, education, all of that. But that one thing that will never let you down is faith and belief in yourself. Okay? Because if you don't have, we're from Chicago. I cry when I go at the young brothers who look like me and you, who are in prison in their head. They're free to run the street, but they are in that prison he's talking about. And it has them believing that this is all there is for them. So they just wilding out. Because this is all there is for me. And that's what makes me cry when I go home. They actually believe that. Who chooses that life? Who believes they can actually be something else? Who would do that? Nobody I know. So that's why I loved your question. That's why I loved your question. It is the hope and the faith and belief that there is something for you that is in you, supported by all this stuff. But that's the fire. Because if you don't have that, your parents could be billionaires. Ain't nothing going nowhere. Yeah, you do know there's rich people that got kids that's crazy. And there are kids who come from absolute despair who reach the highest of mountains. But that can't possibly be possible. But it does happen. So all of us standing here, I mean, when I was your age, I had no idea that I was going to be what I am now. Who cared? Who cared? I knew I wanted to be something. When we were in high school, my music director wanted me to be a musician. I didn't want to do it. I thought I wanted to be the next Black Ben Casey. Now, obviously, I'm not that, but it was my desire to be that made me put this foot here to try to get that, and then get that, and then something else sparked my attention. And then something else sparked my attention, and here you are. But then every now and then when I needed that reminder, that faith that, you could do this, here come my mom and my dad. Sunday trying to go to church. I hate it. But the funny thing about it is I don't ever recall hating it when we left. I hated going. My son's now, my one that looks like you, every Sunday, yeah, we gotta go to church again. Oh, Jesus, we gotta go to church again. Really, I don't
They come in looking so sad.
Oh my goodness, every Sunday. And then what's funny is we go to dinner and he's quoting him. You remember Reverend Boyd said, I didn't even know he was paying attention. So there is life after this, y'all. That's what I'm saying to you and to all of you. There is life after this. To your point, the hope and belief, a desire to do something. I mean, a passion that the minute you step out of here, it's on. That's what I'm doing. Who cares whether that's what you're doing 10 years from now? But it's that gets you up out of bed in the morning. It's that when you walk out of here, lets you know, hey, y'all not, hey, I ain't coming back here. I see you on the other side. Okay. And then keep going.
I just wanted to say something about motivation, for what motivates me. And it's funny, Daryl's talking about his sons. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I have a set of twins that are 10. And my wife and I are in the final stages of adopting them. And so we've been together for about 2 years. And it's interesting how that process works. But on the motivation side, we go about church, and we go to church and folks are leaning to the side and almost falling out their seat and looking all around.
Not at our church.
Not at our church. These are my folks, the folks that live with me. They're looking all around. I'm cold. It's hot in here. I said, you were cold 5 minutes ago. I'm sleepy. Are we going to Freddy's after we leave here? Can anybody pay attention? 5 minutes. So then you say step outside of your comfort zone. That's what my wife and I did. So on Sunday, we have these, what motivates you? For me, it's my elders. But my mother-in-law, she was at the house about 4 weeks ago, and she said, Reverend Boyd, when are y'all going to start taking the kids to Sunday school? Of course, being a quick thinker, I said, why do you ask that question, mother-in-law dear? We'll be there the first Sunday in November. So I rounded up the folks early Sunday morning. They're like, well, what's going on? So we went to church. Who was their Sunday school teacher? His son. So we were worried about how that was going to go. You know how parents are. How that's going? Are they going to be okay? We walk into the sanctuary. They're sitting up next to Zach. Can we stay with Zach? Like, what? And he was their motivation for the day. And he's telling them the same things that we say all the time. But for some reason, it sounded so different. They came back to us. Zach said, I need to turn my C's into B's. I said, we had that conversation last week. And it seemed to go over your head. But that's what, what is motivation? All the students that I work with, and it's been said, but I'll tell you a couple of students that I know. I had two students in particular. One is in the Air Force, one is in the Army. So I work with students that were interested in going to what we call into the service. And these students came from the worst conditions in Chicago. One was homeless, lived in a shelter. Mother was undocumented. She didn't have any money to go to college, so she applied to one school that gave her a full scholarship. That was the United States Military Academy in West Point, New York. She got that full scholarship. She had never been to a doctor or a dentist or an orthodontist before she went to college. And that's why she chose that school. So she right today, she's a captain in the Army, and she's in medical school. The other kid, I don't know if Gerald met him, Martinez Davis. Martinez Davis grew up in Inglewood, and he was named after this guy that his mother met at a bus stop. And I remember when he was with me all the time, and I would have Martinez, who's a young black man, and we would be with the Mexican students. First thing the Mexican students would ask him, hey, are you mixed? He said, no, I'm black. And they said, well, why do you ask me that question? Because your name is Martinez. He said, well, it's spelled M-A-R-T-I-N-U-S, Martinez. Martinez grew up in Inglewood. I had to go to Martinez's house on a regular basis. But I made a deal with Martinez. I said, I will go to your house before 8 o'clock in the morning. I thought I can't come after that because that's when the gangbangers are asleep. After 8 o'clock, they're running up and down the street. But Martinez is in South Korea right now in the Air Force, graduated from the Air Force Academy. I use those two students, Martinez and Graciela, call it Gracie, as the barometer for all the students that I've been working with for the last 15 years. And I say, if you were homeless, or you lived in Inglewood, and your mother was undocumented, and your mother named you after somebody she met at a bus stop, then you don't have that many issues. So regardless, what is your motivation? Those kids are my motivation. Why do I don't want to get up every morning, talk about that, but I know there's a set of 10-year-olds on the other side of the door waiting for me at 6 o'clock in the morning. They just ready to go because they had their 10 hours of sleep. And as I always say to my wife, you got to get up because they are ready for us. But that's what that's what motivates me. And it's really important because I believe in education. I think that every young black man should have an opportunity to get an education. So I'll say this last thing to you. Talked about math earlier. Make sure you read. And there's some things that we don't like to do these days because we don't think that we have to, young people. But we didn't have the benefit of Googling or using Siri, as was mentioned earlier, opening up the Chrome notebook and look up the word in the dictionary. So we didn't have that opportunity. I say to you to read. And this is what you should do. When you're reading the passage, you should read something, write down the words that you don't know, and look them up later. So then you can get the definition of those words. Because it's really important. Because most of the folks that are incarcerated don't read well. That's a fact. You got to be able to read so you can communicate with the rest of the world. And then understand what that reading is about. So you want to talk about comprehension. So you read the book, then you can be able to discuss the book after you've read it. Or you read the passage. And I'm really serious about that because as we develop as young people, You have to be able to communicate with folks like us as you get older. Because what happens is you might get cut off, and we never want you to get cut off. And remember, we used to be like you, we used to look like you, and we used to probably in some regard act like you. I'll end with this. About 5-6 weeks ago, I showed my children a picture of me and my mother and I. My mother and I are twins. The picture was taken in 1987. Right, and they said to me, well, who is that? Why is your father standing next to those two women? But keep this in mind. I said, what are you talking about? They said, that picture of your father is standing next to those two ladies. Who is it? Who are the two ladies they wanted to know? I looked at the picture. This is what the picture looked like to them. There was this young guy, was about size 32, had all this hair and a jet black beard, and two ladies standing next to him that looked pretty good with jet black hair. The two ladies that they know now, about 85 years old, and the guy that they know, I like to say, has pearl gray hair and no longer has a 36 waist. And so I had to explain to them, well, that's me. And that's grandma and her twin sister. They looked and said, they didn't believe it. So it took a little bit of convincing, but I say that because time passes. You can't go back and restructure what happened 20 years ago. All we can do is keep moving forward and make it better. So that's what we want you to do today, make it better.